Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing a quick little DIY on how I made this t-shirt, the one that I actually have on right now. This is a knit material, and really I only use 5 pieces. You have your front piece, you have the back piece, and of course you gotta have the left sleeve, your right sleeve, and then everyone knows you don't have a t-shirt unless you have a nice neckband. Let's get to it. All right, and just like any great artist, I started with the blank canvas, or in this case, fabric. And then, I made sure I got my fabric as straight as possible, using as small as amount as I could. And then I didn't put all the pattern pieces that I used in this video, but just to give some examples, this is one of the sleeves or actually both. As you can tell, I have it folded, so it'll give me both sleeves at the same time. And I made my notches, of course, so that I can line them up later. And then here is one of the fronts or the back. Again, I have the fabric folded so that I can get 2 pieces. I normally like to use my rotary scissors, like my rotary cutters, but for some reason this fabric, I just needed to use my scissors. And right here, what I'm doing is I'm showing you that, when it comes to the neckband, you want to make sure that you're using the stretchiest side, like that's what you're cutting, instead of the non-stretchy side. If you have 4-way stretch, then you don't have to worry about it, but in this case, I was making sure that I cut it on the stretch side. All right, so as you can see, you have your front, your back, again, both sleeves, and then finally the neckband. Those are all the pieces I was able to get out of that. And here we go. So as you can see here, I sewed the front and the back together with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, right sides facing. And you definitely want to iron down your seams. That's what I'm showing you here. That is the biggest difference between the amateur shirt and the professional shirt, is making sure those seams aren't puffed out. All right, so that's what we do here. We have no puffed out seams, all right? And now that I have them attached, I attach the sleeves using the flat method. And it's just like it says, you lay the front and the back piece down flat, and then you align your notches with the right sides facing with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now I'm just gonna speed this up here. All right, and just like I said, I then sewed just a straight stitch all the way down with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And it shouldn't be too hard. Sometimes the fabric was, kind of moving around on me, but that's just the nature of the fabric. So you just have to deal with that. But normally you should be able to get that done pretty simply, easy peasy. All right. And so now, as you can see, I turned the shirt inside out, lined up all the seams together, and then starting with the armpit, I got that lined up, and then you just pretty much line up the rest of them and pin them down so that you can make a straight stitch. And so I'll go ahead and speed this up. All right, and just like I said, I just made a straight stitch all the way down. All right, and now to the neckband. As you can see here, all I did was folded the neckband right sides facing, Sometimes the knit folds on the end, so you can also, iron those down so that you can make them stay. Personally, I ironed the whole fabric, like the whole piece, before I started, so mine is extremely straight. But you pin it and then sew it across the top with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and you'll see that here as well. All right, so I ironed my seam open and then I folded it in half, right? And then I ironed it down again. And I'll go ahead and speed this up as well. Okay, so to make it easy to find the center front, I found the back seam and then snipped a notch in the front. And then you bring both sides, both of the shoulder seams together. You find the front, make another small notch, and then you do the same thing on the back as well. Okay, so sometimes the neckband is actually too big, and I knew that this one was because it fit perfectly around, and it should be a little stretched when you're pinning it down. So what I did was I went down a whole inch from the first seam and then stitched it down again with the same 1/2 inch seam allowance as well. All right, so now you just pin it around the shirt evenly, and you just line it up with the notches that you made in the front and the back, and you just do that all the way around, and then we'll get to the next piece. So as you can see here, it looks like I said, you pin it all the way around and then you just sew it. All right, so all I did was sew it all the way around, but also make sure it's straight. I did mess up on my collar and it was actually in the front. Now, because it's a darker shirt, you can't really see it from far away. And I don't really care. It was my first shirt that I made, so I'm still happy with it. With the rest, I'm not sure what happened to the rest of the footage, but just enjoy the rest of this. And thank y'all for watching.